Coming in at 10, Tupac is alive. Back in 2016, the internet was abuzz when rumors began to spread that Tupac Shakur had been spotted alive and well in Cuba. The rapper was of course gunned down in his car in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996, and would be around 47 years old today. The article states that, I quote, Tupac Shakur, who was supposedly killed at the age of 25, is now admitting he has been hiding this whole time. But Shakur, who in 1996 was reportedly attending a special event in Las Vegas, the Mike Tyson-Benson fight, and then afterwards was brutally murdered. A day or so later, he is autopsied, then quickly cremated. There is no funeral, nor is there any record of a tribute or memorial. Now we know exactly why it was, because Tupac was never killed. There were a ton of convincing pictures of the rapper, from attending basketball games, relaxing at a resort in New Zealand, to chilling in Cuba. There are so many pictures, yeah, like a lot of theories online I'm calling BS. Is quite believable. Coming in at 9, the CIA murdered Bob Marley. Now this is an older theory that came back to life back in 2018 when rappers T.I. and Busta Rhymes shared the conspiracy on Instagram that claims Bob Marley was killed by the CIA. The post stated, I quote, Bob Marley was murdered by CIA, admits ex-officer on deathbed. Bill Oxley, speaking from his deathbed, claimed that he had murdered Marley along with 17 other assassinations for the American government. Supposedly this happened because Marley and other reggae musicians were working to alert the public of the CIA's attempt to bring down Jamaican Prime Minister Michael Manley. Coming in at 8, Beyonce is Solange's mother. Now this theory is absolutely insane, but I'm living for it completely. There's a conspiracy theory online that Beyonce is actually the mother, not the sister, of Solange Knowles. Yeah, that's right. Beyonce, who is 38, is apparently the mother of a 33-year-old sister. Now this claim surfaced after a bizarre message was posted online stating, I quote, Beyonce's cousin told me Beyonce's daughter is Solange, and she said it to me in confidence after the topic of teenage pregnancies came up. She's not the sarcastic type either, so I doubt she would make something up that's so scandalous about her own cousin. She even scoffed that is why Beyonce has always had those childbearing hips. Mark my words, one day the truth will be told. Solange is 22 and Beyonce is 36, that is a 14-year age difference. Yep, it's absolutely crazy, right? Well, it gets stranger. Some folks believe Beyonce was actually born in 1974 instead of 81, and that her family faked her birth certificate in order to cover up her early pregnancy. Coming in at 7, Avril Lavigne was replaced. Ever since the world was cursed with social media, folks have been sat at their computers theorizing about all the useless things in life. I mean, you can literally put questions into the void and people will answer, but not just one. No, a lot of people. Back in 2017, this was the case when people on Twitter scrambled to figure out if Avril Lavigne was killed and replaced by an imposter in 2003, specifically Melissa Vandella, who has apparently been living Avril's life for 16 years. Now, folks took to Twitter to post their evidence, beginning with one user who stated, Avril always wore pants on red carpets. The dresses started late 2003. Melissa loves the attention, but Avril clearly doesn't. Another user stated, okay, so I was looking at these and the corners of their eyes are shaped differently, and now I'm geeking out. Honestly though, it depends on what picture you're looking at. I certainly look a lot different now than I did 14 years ago. Also, folks, eyeliner changes the shape of your eyes. Just saying. Coming in at number 6, Lorde is actually 40. This theory was completely new to me, but honestly, I buy it. A little bit anyway. Lorde is 22 years old, but shot to fame when she was just 16 and surprised listeners with her emotionally intelligent lyrics and grammar. Now, some folks out there believe this is because Lorde is actually in her 40s. She faked her age to sell herself as a young musical prodigy. However, the case was close to being settled when the singer's birth certificate was leaked, which showed Lorde's date of birth as November 7th, 1996. However, many quickly piped up, stating that the certificate was doctored, but of course there is no definitive proof. However, one person took it upon themselves to do something a little different. They used the novelty website howold.net to solve the problem, with the app for the most part guessing that the singer was in her 40s. What do you guys think though? That app told me I looked 27, which I am, but we all know I look 12. In at 5, Steve Jobs 2.0. Now this theory is perhaps one of the most popular on our list, and for some strange reason one of the most believable. As most of us know, on October 5th, 2011, Steve Jobs passed away from pancreatic cancer. However, 7 years later in 2018, someone on Reddit posted an image of a man in Egypt who looks almost identical to the Apple creator. Like they could honestly be twins. The caption read, Steve Jobs hiding in Egypt after faking his death, bold claim. After the picture was posted, hundreds of people hopped on online claiming that the person wasn't merely a doppelganger but was in fact the real Steve Jobs himself. More interesting still, Jobs was known for placing his hand on his chin while deep in thought. And guess what? The man in the image was doing the exact same thing. Now, some people were quick to debunk the theory, spotting that the man in the picture wasn't wearing an Apple Watch, which if you were the head of a global technology corporation, you would likely be wearing, but I think that's bull. I like Apple, I don't wear their watches. Coming in at 4, Stevie Wonder isn't actually blind. Yep, this theory is exactly how it sounds. There are folks out there who believe that the legendary blind singer Stevie Wonder isn't actually blind, and that he's just been pretending for the last 6 decades. It's absurd, yes, but there are people out there who claim to have proof to support the theory. For example, he frequently attends basketball games. Why would you do that if you can't see? He once caught a falling mic stand. I've seen the video, it's pretty impressive. He is interested in photography and once took a photo, as well as other things that are reserved for people who can see. What do you guys think though? I'm still calling BS, I just think he's like Daredevil, superhuman abilities. Coming in at 3, Britney Spears worked with the government. The George Bush era was the heyday for wild and somewhat absurd conspiracy theories, from 9/11 being an inside job to FEMA coffins at Katrina. No one quite trusted Bush, and the rise of the 24-hour news cycles didn't help matters. However, the most baffling theory actually involved Britney Spears. Over the last few years, theorists seem to gather together and come up with the conspiracy theory to end all theories, that Britney Spears was on the Bush payroll as a professional thirst trap. Okay, hear me out. Whenever a state crisis was occurring, the government wanted to cover it up and hide it away from the American people as fast as possible. Enter Britney, who would have a conveniently timed meltdown, placing her on the front page of every paper and at the top of the CNN's news crawl, resulting in people turning their attention away from the Bush's newest blunder. Now, it sounds wild, right? Well, I have proof to support the claim. On November 6, 2006, the day before a midterm election in which Republicans could potentially lose 33 Senate seats and 435 House seats, Britney announced her split from Kevin Federline. In February 2007, Bush announced the reformation of Al-Qaeda. That same night, Britney snuck out of rehab, shaved her head, and attacked the paparazzi. No matter the government crisis, there was always a Britney headline to cover it up. Crazy, right? I believe it. Coming in at number 2, Katie JonBenet Perry. On the night of Christmas 1996, JonBenet Ramsey, a child beauty pageant winner, was killed in her family home in Colorado. She was only 6 years old at the time. A ransom note was found first before her father found her body in the basement 8 hours after they had reported her missing. The murder still remains unsolved to this day. However, theorists have a different idea of what went down. According to some, JonBenet was not killed but instead was kidnapped. Her parents staged her death and she later resurfaced as Katy Perry in 2008 with the hit song I Kissed a Girl. Now, their evidence includes the resemblance of Katy Perry and JonBenet, as well as the resemblance of both their sets of parents. Now, this theory is of course fake, with no real evidence supporting it. And if you were to do a quick Google search, you would discover that Katy Perry would have been 12 when JonBenet was murdered. Not only that, but Katy Perry was born Katie Hudson and released a Christian pop album back in 2001 at the age of 17. And finally, coming in at number 1, Paul McCartney is dead. Paul is Dead is an urban legend and conspiracy theory alleging that Paul McCartney from the Beatles died in November 1966 and was secretly replaced by a lookalike. Now, this isn't a recent rumor, surprisingly. No, this began all the way back in 1969 when a rumor began to spread across college campuses in the US based on perceived clues found in the Beatles songs and album covers, specifically the Abbey Road album cover, which shows the 4 band members walking across Abbey Road. However, Paul is barefoot. Not only that, but the order that the 4 Beatles were arranged was also deemed significant. John Lennon, bearded and dressed in white, represented Jesus. Ringo Starr in a somber black suit was the Undertaker. George Harrison's jeans and denim shirt made him the Gravedigger. However, McCartney dismissed the clues. Of course he did. He's an imposter. He stated, I quote, "We were wearing ordinary clothes. I was barefoot because it was a hot day. The Volkswagen just happened to be there." Now, proponents of the theory maintained that after Paul's supposed death, and to spare the public from grief, the surviving Beatles replaced him with the winner of a McCartney look-alike contest. Dozens of supposed clues to his death have been identified by fans and followers of the legend, with some even claiming to hear the words "I buried Paul" spoken by Lennon in the final section of the song Strawberry Fields Forever. However, Lennon later went on to say that the words were cranberry sauce, which in my opinion is even weirder. Coming in at 10, Britney Spears is a clone. Yet another clone. Apparently there are a whole flock of them running around in Hollywood right now. According to the theory, shortly before the release of the 1999 album, Baby One More Time, Britney and Justin Timberlake got into a car accident. Justin had some serious burns, but Britney was decapitated. So what did the peeps in Hollywood do? They brought out the clones. If you're worried about Justin Timberlake, don't. He's currently in a coma, and the version of him we see today is also a clone. I guess their clones weren't a fan of each other because they ended up marrying different people. Sad times. Coming in at number 9, Marisa Tomei didn't win an Oscar. Say it ain't so. I love My Cousin Vinny and I love Marisa Tomei even more. Personally, I believe she deserved the Oscar for the movie. Now, this scandal is on par with the La La Land accidentally being announced instead of Moonlight. At the 1993 Oscars, presenter Jack Palance was unable to read the name on his card announcing the winner for Best Supporting Actress. At a loss, he just blurted out Marisa Tomei for My Cousin Vinny. Now, in reality, there was no blundering and barely any pause. He simply opens the envelope and reads the name. In hindsight, I believe a lot of these theories stem from the fact that people didn't believe Marisa Tomei deserved to win the Oscar, which I think is completely unjust. Marisa Tomei cleared up the rumor in her opening monologue on SNL, stating, I quote, "There's this crazy rumor, some of you may have heard it, some of you may have not, that when I won the Academy Award for My Cousin Vinny, that I didn't really win the Oscar, that because Palance accidentally read the wrong name off the teleprompter. But that's just absolutely not true. I won the Academy Award, fair and square, and I was just the happiest I'd ever been since I was named Miss Teenage America." I mean, at least she has a sense of humor about the whole thing. In at number 8, Jennifer Lawrence fell on purpose. J-Law would never, I can tell you that, but let's hear what these theorists have to say, shall we? As we know, on her way to collect her Best Actress Academy Award at the Oscars for Silver Linings Playbook back in 2013, J-Law tripped going up the stairs and fell down, before composing herself and going up on the stage. However, some folks feel like the fall wasn't real and was instead a plot to get more attention for her and her dress designer Dior. It also plays into her shtick of being a normal, down-to-earth gal, but I don't believe this one at all. It's ridiculous. Dior don't need the attention. Dior is the attention. In at 7, Melania Trump has a body double. I absolutely love this theory, which I know isn't true. It's just so damn funny. It's not unheard of for political leaders to have body doubles. Many people in history have had them, including Saddam Hussein and Joseph Stalin. However, some folks out there have noticed that Melania Trump hasn't quite been acting like herself in her on-camera appearances, and her facial features look a little different than usual. She will often wear overly large sunglasses, which is typically a good disguise for someone hiding. It also doesn't help that her husband, President Donald Trump, is often wrong when he talks about her location. He also says strange things and has weird ways of referring to her. For example, I quote, "My wife, Melania, who happens to be right here," which preempts the question whether his wife, Melania, was in fact right there. In at number 6, Keanu Reeves is immortal. Right off the bat, I believe this one. Keanu is a god and should be treated like one. We know some celebrities age better than others, however, Keanu Reeves is 52 and looks no different than he did when he was in his 20s, just has longer hair now. Not only that, but he also looks like a French actor from the 1800s, as well as Charlemagne and a host of other historical figures. This has caused some theorists to believe that Keanu Reeves is immortal and is traversing through history, and I am here for it in every way possible. In at number 5, John Travolta is also immortal. Now, this is a direct follow-on from our last point. Apparently John Travolta is immortal now as well. However, let's discuss Nicolas Cage first. Like Keanu, Nick Cage looks like historical figures as well, with him being the spitting image of a Confederate prisoner of war photographer. His roles have also hinted to him having supernatural traits. He played a 3,000-year-old wizard named Balthazar in The Magician's Apprentice, as well as a man who thought he was a vampire in Vampire's Kiss. Now, John Travolta also resembles minor historical figures, and as an open Scientologist, he holds beliefs about reincarnation. Not only that, but both himself and Cage may have hinted to their feud through their movie roles in Face Off, where Cage plays a terrorist and Travolta plays an FBI agent, each trying to outdo each other and each swapping faces with one another. In at 4, the Illuminati killed the real Slim Shady. In the early 2000s, Eminem was one of the biggest rappers on earth and was seemingly everywhere. However, after his 2004 album Encore, he decided to take a 5-year break before coming out with Relapse. So why did he take the break? Why did it last so long? Well, according to some conspiracy theorists, the Illuminati tried to recruit Eminem, and when he refused, they killed him via a car crash. Then the Illuminati fabricated a new Eminem to replace the old one, which is why his voice sounds a little different. However, as we know, the real reason for the break was because of Eminem's writer's block, which he attributed to drugs. Coming in at 3, Stephen King killed John Lennon. So if you think back to part 1 of this video, you'll remember the conspiracy theory that Paul McCartney died in '96. Well, now there's yet another theory about one of his fellow bandmates, John Lennon. As we know, John Lennon was killed by Mark David Chapman in 1980. However, this theory states that that didn't actually happen, and instead he was killed by none other than Stephen King. Yeah, that's right, Stephen King. According to theorist Steve Lightfoot, King must be the real murderer of John Lennon because King looks like Chapman. He had permission to commit the murder from Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, who were both frustrated by Lennon's pacifist efforts. As we know though, Stephen King is not Mark David Chapman and did not kill John Lennon. Coming in at 2, Taylor Swift is a famous Satanist. Yes, I know this one sounds crazy, but just hear me out. Taylor Swift was born in 1989, however many have pointed out the fact that she looks a whole lot like Zena LeVay, a Satanist who was on the Sally Jessy show sometime in the 90s. However, in 1990 she resigned her position in the Church of Satan and severed ties with her father Anton LaVey and his church. Now this slightly debunks the theory, but saying that, I've never actually seen Taylor Swift and Xena in the same room together. Have you? And finally, coming in at number 1, Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing. Now this is perhaps the most popular theory on our list and one that many people actually believe, surprisingly. The theory that the moon landing was faked has been around for a long time, with some theorists believing that Stanley Kubrick dropped a few hints to this fact in 2001: A Space Odyssey, which was released a year after the moon landing. However, the theory that Kubrick fabricated the footage of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon has been reinforced by a purported interview Kubrick gave where he supposedly confessed the entire thing. I quote, "It is impossible to get there. 2001 was very ambitious, but that's not to say that faking the moon landing was not ambitious. But I learned things from making 2001 and that's why I got this gig in the first place." Oh boy, what do you guys think? Coming in at number 10, Lindsay Lohan's twin. As most will know, back in 1998, Lindsay Lohan starred in the remake of The Parent Trap, a film which follows twins Annie and Hallie, played by Lohan, who are strangers until happenstance brings them together. As you can see, Lohan plays both Annie and Hallie. However, one major conspiracy theory says otherwise, and instead theorizes that Lindsay Lohan had a sister called Kelsey, who actually played the part but died before the release of the movie. Of course, they would never want viewers to know that a dead girl was in the movie, so instead they said Lindsay played both parts. Not just that, but back in '98 the technology was not that great, and the scenes with both twins are absolutely seamless, leading many to assume that there were two different people there. Coming in at 9, Marilyn Monroe. This is a theory that has been around for a long time and is perhaps the most believable on our entire list. This point argues that Marilyn Monroe was killed by the CIA because she knew too much, apparently anyway. As most will know, Monroe had romantic dealings with both President and Bobby Kennedy in the 1960s, and in turn amassed a wealth of secrets on the family that she kept in a little red book. So according to this theory, Bobby Kennedy arranged for her death so that none of these secrets would get out to the public. The theory became even more heightened when a former Secret Service agent reportedly confessed to her murder on his deathbed. Coming in at 8, Khloe Kardashian's dad. Most will know that Khloe looks nothing like her sisters, yet she looks a lot like her mother. This has resulted in many fans of the Kardashians theorizing that Khloe isn't actually the daughter of Robert Kardashian, but is instead the daughter of O.J. Simpson, the former football player charged with the murder of his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, in the early 90s. Now, the theory became so well known that the Kardashians ended up addressing it on their TV series Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And they of course deny the allegations, as does O.J. O.J. addressed the theory in 2018 when reporters went up to him congratulating him on Kardashian's pregnancy. He responded, "Well, for Bob, yeah, but for me, I don't think for me. I've nothing to do with it, trust me. I've nothing to do with it." Sounds like you had something to do with it. Coming in at number 7, Louis Tomlinson's fake baby. At the beginning of 2016, Louis Tomlinson became a father to his son Freddie in January of that year. Since then, fans of One Direction have developed wild theories that Freddie is actually fake, and that his birth is actually a plot to veer away from the rumors of a relationship between Louis and fellow band member Harry Styles. This theory became known as Babygate, with it dating back to May of the same year when Brianna's Twitter account was created, aka Louis' girlfriend. Following this, a series of claims were formed, such as the time he was on stage and threw a fake baby, saying, "It's not real, it's not real," which fans of course believed to be foreshadowing. A little odd, but sure. Coming in at number 6, Post Malone and Justin Bieber. Now this one is just crazy. Apparently some people believe that Post Malone and Justin Bieber are the exact same person. Why? Well, according to YouTuber Kendall Ray, I quote, "If you pitch down a Justin Bieber song, it starts to sound like Post Malone, and if you pitch up a Post Malone song, it sounds like Justin Bieber." Yikes. I actually had no idea. We can't play the clips for you, but be sure to go listen to it after this. In at number 5, Prince Harry's dad. After the sudden and unexpected death of Princess Diana, former British Army officer James Hewitt announced that he had had an affair with her from 1986 to 1991. The affair apparently happened at the time Prince Charles was widely reported to have been cheating on Diana with his current wife Camilla Parker Bowles. However, the pair were forced apart when Hewitt was deployed to serve in the Gulf War, before splitting permanently. With the claims came more rumours that Hewitt was actually the father of Prince Harry. However, he denied speculation, of course. There is evidence to debunk the theory, such as Harry was born on September 15, 1984, which means he was conceived around Christmas 1983 when his brother William was 18 months old. Diana did not meet James Hewitt until the summer of 1986. I mean, the two certainly look alike, but sadly, the facts are there. In at number 4, Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was the lead singer, guitarist, and songwriter for the band Nirvana up until his death on April 5, 1994. Now, his cause of death has always been a point of contention, with the singer shooting himself in his greenhouse. However, that's not what folks believe. A lot of people believe he was murdered, possibly by his widow, Courtney Love, who arranged the murder for not just his money, but also because she was afraid he was going to leave her. As a result, she allegedly hired a hitman who rendered him comatose with an injection of heroin, and then shot him dead. It is also suggested that Seattle police collaborated to cover up the true murderer. There is actually a ton of evidence to support the theory as well, such as the suicide note. It has been asserted that Kurt Cobain did not write the note, or that the note did not refer to suicide but to Cobain's plans to leave Courtney or put Nirvana on hiatus. According to later theories, Cobain only wrote a small part of the note and somebody else added to the end. There is a variety of other circumstantial evidence as well. For example, there was an absence of fingerprints on the gun, suicide note, and pen, and then the door to the greenhouse where Cobain was found was locked from the outside. Does sound fishy to me. Certainly sounds fishy to Chris. Coming in at 3, Disney killed off Miley Cyrus. According to some reports, Miley Cyrus was murdered by Disney and then replaced with a body double. I quote, "Couple years back, there were reports that someone had found Miley Cyrus's body way out in East LA with signs of dehydration along with bruises on her wrist and neck. It was all over KCAL for a day, and then the very next day KCAL apologized for promoting blatantly untrue slander." Now, the theory goes that Miley Cyrus was killed by Disney for refusing to get sexual with Disney higher-ups. She was left in the California desert and then replaced with the Cyrus we know now, which explains her very sudden image change. That, or it could be growing up and maturing. Either or, I guess. I'm different than I was when I was 11. Did someone kill me? In at 2, Lady Gaga and Lina Morgana. Now, according to this insane theory, Lady Gaga murdered a rising pop star and stole her identity. Lady Gaga apparently met her and went on to become Lina's backup dancer. Lina then, according to sources, was happy and dancing on the roof of a hotel. Then around lunch, hurled herself off of it to her death. 2 weeks later, Lady Gaga begins to rise up in Hollywood. She also emulated Lina's style and gained fame instantly, and according to some theories, Gaga's monster is all about Lina's murder and the man who helped Gaga pull it off. That is crazy. And finally coming in at number 1, K-Stew and R-Pats. According to some crazy theorists, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are married with kids. Now, as we know, way back when, K-Stew was caught publicly cheating on R-Pats with her director. I mean, even Trump tweeted about it. It was a big deal. However, apparently that was all part of the plan, because this theory states that Stewart and Pattinson faked their breakup not only to drum up publicity, but also to ensure privacy for the rest of their lives. K-Stew has since dated women, but apparently one of them was actually her cousin, who was doing the couple a favor. According to reports, they are married and now have 4 kids. That's insane if it's true. Sadly, I don't think it is. I wish it was true. Their endgame, and they just don't know it. Coming in at 10, Suri Cruise isn't Tom Cruise's daughter. Perhaps this is why Tom Cruise hasn't seen Suri in 5 years. Following Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise's split, Holmes had gone to great lengths in order to ensure her daughter's life remains private, even using her ex-husband's odd behavior and Scientology beliefs as excuses for keeping Suri away from Cruise. However, some fans believe the real reason is that Cruise isn't her dad at all. Instead, many believe that Suri's real father is Holmes' ex, Chris Klein, whom she dated right before she got together with Cruise, and the timeline for it even fits, given that Suri wasn't publicly seen for the first 5 months of her life. What do you guys think though? Very fishy. Coming in at 9, Andy Kaufman is still alive. A user by the name of Hannibus42 is convinced Andy Kaufman is still alive and waiting for the right moment to reveal his prank to the world. Say it ain't so. Andy Kaufman was a comedy genius and would bring fans endless joy to learn that he's in fact faked his own death for all those years. However, I'm not a believer of this theory, considering Kaufman had a severe case of large cell carcinoma, a rare type of lung cancer. Now, the theory itself did have some merit to it though, considering that Kaufman often spoke of faking his own death as a grand hoax, with the rumors taking flight when folks claimed to have spotted Kaufman's character, Tony Clifton, at comedy clubs after his death. What do you guys think though? Coming in at 8, Beyonce was never pregnant. Now, this theory gets its legs after a video of Beyonce's belly went viral, which seemed to show her deflated stomach while on a talk show. Now, when Beyonce was pregnant with daughter Blue Ivy Carter, rumors began spreading almost instantly that she had faked the pregnancy or was even using a prosthetic belly in order to cover up the fact that she had enlisted a surrogate to carry the child. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, just don't go around lying about it. Now, there is video evidence to support the claim which shows the aforementioned deflated belly. However, Beyonce denies all of these claims, stating, I quote, "That was crazy. It wasn't hurtful, it was just crazy. Where did they come up with this?" She even answered our burning questions regarding her deflated stomach, stating, I quote, "It was a fabric that folded. Does fabric not fold? Oh my gosh, so stupid." Well, from the Queen's mouth, there it be. Coming in at 7, Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston faked their relationship. At this point, we're all aware that Taylor Swift and Marvel actor Tom Hiddleston had a whirlwind romance that made its way into the media, and relatively quickly. Back in 2016, the pair's relationship was outed after just 2 weeks after Swift split from EDM DJ Calvin Harris. Tom Hiddleston and Swift were spotted kissing and cuddling on a beach. Pretty quick indeed. Just a day before the pair were spotted, news articles were reporting that Swift was concentrating on herself following her split with Harris, who she had dated for over a year. Now, here's where things get weird. Swift and Hiddleston were seldom spotted together and made sure to travel exclusively with Swift's private plane. In turn, many people summed the relationship up as nothing more than a publicity stunt in order for Swift to promote her album. Coming in at 6, Nicki Minaj is Jay-Z's alter ego. Now, this one is just baffling, honestly. Considering our list, that says a lot. This one is almost identical to a previous number on our last list. Hear me out though. Many fans have noticed that if you slow down a few Nicki Minaj songs, they discovered she sounds like Jay-Z. Almost exactly like Jay-Z. As such, Nicki Minaj is obviously Jay-Z's voice sped up. So saying that, perhaps the industry tycoon was fed up of dominating the music industry as a male and decided to do it as a female. And Nicki Minaj is nothing more than a cover. Yeah, I told you, it's absolutely insane. Coming in at 5, Tupac's death was a hoax. This is a theory as old as time. Well, close enough anyway. As most will know, on the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas to celebrate his business partner's birthday and attended the Mike Tyson boxing match along with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. After leaving the event and while stopped at a stoplight, a car pulled up alongside the pair and fired rapid gunshots, 4 of which hit Tupac, in turn killing him. However, many fans believe that Tupac faked his own death so he could escape to Cuba and start a whole new life. These believers say that he could never have been killed, considering Tupac always wore a bulletproof vest. Not just that, but the police were unable to catch the shooters, which in turn planted a seed of doubt into most fans' heads. Not just that, but there have been numerous reported sightings of the singer. So whatever you believe is up to you. I'm here for it. He's alive. He just needs to tell us. Coming in at 4, Northwest is the Antichrist. This is perhaps one of my favourite theories on our list, simply because it is so bloody weird. It's also the shortest, short but sweet, well, short but evil. What do you get if you add up all the numbers in sweet little North's birthday? You get 666, the devil's number. Therefore, North must be the Antichrist. It's the only thing that makes sense in the world. She is the Antichrist. To be fair, she can't be because I am, so sucks to be her. Coming in at 3, Justin Bieber is a reptile. Back in March 2017, a strange headline started circulating the internet. I quote, "Hundreds of fans claim they saw Justin Bieber turn into a giant reptile." Now, in the article, several anonymous sources gave descriptions of the supposed scene that they saw unfold before them, which apparently showed Bieber shape-shifting at Perth Airport. And not one, but hundreds of fans witnessed it as he transformed into a slimy lizard person, aka a reptile. An onlooker stated, "There were girls hiding in toilets, crying, guys were running for the exits, jumping into taxis to get out of there." Another source claimed they saw Bieber's eyes turn black, and another claimed the singer grew taller and had scales all over his body. Oh boy, Biebs has been found out, it seems. He's got some explaining to do. Coming in at 2, Megan Fox was replaced. Yet another replacement. We all love these, don't we? Now, for whatever reason, there are a small group of people out there that believe Megan Fox has been replaced by a new version of herself. Sorry, not just one, I mean multiple versions of herself throughout several points of her career. The theory goes her appearance has changed so much along with her personality that she must be an entirely different person, because apparently plastic surgery is out of the question. It's fine. She would probably admit it. She definitely has plastic surgery. Nothing wrong with that, just facts. And finally, coming in at number 1, Taylor Swift knew Kanye West was going to ruin her moment. As most will remember, at the 2009 MTV VMA Awards, Kanye West ruined Taylor Swift's big moment when she accepted the award for Best Female Video, when he stormed on the stage and declared that Beyonce had the best video of all time. Best video of all time. To be fair, he's not wrong. Swift was of course devastated and was at a loss for words. However, some fans believe that this was all a ruse, considering that both Swift and West share the same agent and have continuously drummed up publicity for one another since the outburst. Could this in turn be a publicity stunt of its own, with West helping Swift garner more and more attention by forcing folks to feel sorry for her? Perhaps, I mean it worked on me. For years I felt sorry for Swift. She's probably a lovely person. Coming in at number 10, Beyonce and the Illuminati. For years now, Beyonce has been linked with the Illuminati, with the pop goddess being dogged with rumored links to the secret society, with theorists pointing fingers at her and Jay-Z. According to sources, Beyonce's affiliation with the Illuminati stems from her relationship with Jay-Z, who has been linked to the group since the 1990s, during which time conspiracy theorists began to speculate that the music mogul's powers extended beyond the music industry, and that he was in fact a member of the Illuminati. And on top of that, Beyonce's music videos have been rife with symbolism that supposedly hints at the singer's double life as the Queen of Illuminati. Coming in at 9, Elvis is alive. According to a Facebook page called Elvis Presley is Alive, they urge us to ignore the mainstream media that Elvis died on August 17, 1977 in the toilet of his mansion Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. According to sources, Elvis was never in a casket and was alive the entire time, with many folks believing he is a reptilian shapeshifter that didn't change but faked his death and fooled a lot of people in the process. He has been spotted countless times working behind the checkout of a grocery store and even appearing as an extra in an airport scene in Home Alone. Coming in at number 8, Tom Cruise's wife choosing process. Back in 2004, the Church of Scientology embarked on a top secret mission to find a new wife for Tom Cruise after his divorce from Nicole Kidman and the end of his relationship with Penelope Cruz. According to reports, the project involved auditioning actresses who were brought in to try out for a film, and would then asked a series of questions that included, what do you think of Tom Cruise? Not just that, but according to reports, one of these women was Scarlett Johansson. Crazy, right? Coming in at number 7, Beyonce is dead. Another crazy theory, this one goes that Beyonce died at least a decade ago, but Jay-Z, our savior, had enough foresight to save a few stem cells of hers so they could produce clones at will. Beyonce herself has even admitted to having an alter ego named Sasha Fierce, fierce, who does stuff she would never do. On top of that, Beyonce looks drastically different now than she did 10 years ago, however that's just called aging, and I'm saying this one is pretty weak. Coming in at 6, Rod Stewart had his stomach pumped. Now this one is just straight up peculiar. For decades now, Rod Stewart's name has been synonymous with ingesting quarts of semen. Yeah, I'm not joking. The rumor goes that Rod sucked and then swallowed so much semen that he landed in the hospital and needed to have his stomach pumped. Yeah, I can't even fathom this one. Stewart has of course denied these claims, with him stating that he's as heterosexual as they come. Sure Jan, sounds a little fishy to me. Coming in at 5, Pippa Middleton's fake butt. It has been many years since the royal wedding, however people are still talking about one thing. Pippa Middleton, specifically her butt. That's right. The internet is constantly ablaze with accusations that Pippa's butt was actually fake, with Stephanie Byrne from Daily Mail stating, "But of course she had a false button. It was an optical illusion. She knew there were a billion people watching. Honestly, I didn't even know this was a thing. And if she did do it, mad respect. I wish I had a fake bum." Coming in at number 4, Jennifer Lawrence faked her falls. I'm a true J-Lo fan from day one, and I mean day one. I mean Poker House and Winter's Bone. I was there from the beginning. Most of you probably have never seen Poker House. That's right. However, when I read this theory, I got nervous. I'm not gonna lie. As most will know, J-Lo has a habit of falling down, especially during major events. For example, the Oscars, when she fell up the stairs on her way to claim her award. Innocent enough, but apparently for some, it's all fake. To quote the website The Cut, "For me, it was the graceful execution that gave her away, just clumsy enough to burnish her reputation as America's relatable, fun friend, but not enough to broach the embarrassment threshold. All in all, a lot of people believe she's faking it in order to gain popularity and win over audiences." Respect. I respect that. I would do the same thing. Give me a stage and I'll fall on it. Coming in at 3, Jennifer Aniston and Vin Diesel stole movies. Now this theory is short but very, very sweet. According to some theorists out there, Vin Diesel and Jennifer Aniston were believed to have burglarized a movie company. According to an anonymous email obtained by AV News, Jen and Vin stole the second G.I. Joe movie because the Friends actress was jealous that the sender of the email dumped her for Sienna Miller. Yeah, that's right. That's the theory. And I believe it because I don't like Jennifer Aniston. Never have, never will. I'm team Angelina Jolie till I die. Coming in at 2, Justin Timberlake is still in love with Britney. Now this theory comes to us from one specific video, but let me backtrack for a second. JT and Britney were one of the most powerful couples, with their relationship lasting 3 years from 1999 to 2002. It should be noted that during their relationship they had nicknames for each other. He called her Pinky and she called him Stinky. So it came as quite a shock to fans when the couple split, which was then followed with JT releasing his single Cry Me a River, which was about a girl who wasn't faithful, and we all know it was Britney. Anyway, flash forward to 2016, people began to suggest that the couple still had feelings for one another. JT was doing an interview for his movie Trolls when fans spotted something that they think confirmed the theory. During the interview, the word Pinky was said by the journalist, and people think JT's reaction proves he's still in love with her. I mean, just take a look. And finally, coming in at number 1, the Beatles never existed. Now this may very well be the craziest theory I have ever heard, and I can't believe it has taken until part 5 for me to put it on our list. Now according to a theory posted by the website The Beatles Never Existed, the Beatles, in fact, never did exist. I quote, "This is a serious subject, not a joke, and this site is here to expose the actions of those who exploited these young men and defrauded us, their fans. It is to defend the honor of everyone involved who did not take part in it willingly. It has become apparent to us in this extensive and painstaking research that there were never just 4 individual people known as John, Paul, George and Ringo who comprised one rock and roll band known as the Beatles and rose to fame as the world's first supergroup. For all intents and purposes, as far as we can tell, no one such group ever existed." So according to the theory, the Beatles were instead a series of individuals imitating personas. Absolutely absurd. I know, but I'm here for it.